scientists! This unit has taught us a lot about how humans rely on land and natural resources to survive, especially as populations grow and need more space and resources. But we also know that how we use land shapes the health of the Earth, now and in the future. It's got me wondering, with so many costs and benefits to consider, how do we make decisions about how to use the limited land we have?
All right. Better get to work. We've got 10 square miles of available land near the city, and I have to decide how we should use it. Okay, what are our options here? Okay, the urban council says that the city population is growing and they want to put apartments and offices here. That makes sense. Easy. Oh, wait. The Farming Bureau thinks the soil here is perfect for growing corn and soy, and everybody needs food. Ugh. The Coal Miners Union says that it's likely there's coal here that could be used for energy for the rest of the city. The Environmental Agency says that the forest on this land is a habitat for an endangered species. Everybody wants something different! How do I make this decision?
No, there has to be a better way to make sustainable decisions about using land. Today, we'll review the different ways humans use land to support life, and we'll explore a better way to make sustainable decisions about land use in growing cities. We'll also learn how land conservation and preservation can make sure that future generations will have resources too. Are you ready, scientists? Let's get to work. Think about what you've already learned. What are the different ways that humans use land? Pause the video here and write as many as you can think of. We use land for urban development, to build homes, roads, factories, and businesses, and to store all of our waste. We also need a lot of land to produce crops, livestock, and fish for food. And mining for energy sources or minerals to build technology uses land space too. But we also use land for recreation and wildlife, parks and trails where people enjoy nature, or habitats where plants and animals live. Every use of land has costs and benefits. Some help people but harm ecosystems. Some provide short-term benefits but cause long-term problems. And using land for one resource can cause pollution and habitat destruction, harming other resources like the air, water, and soil we depend on. Often, different stakeholders may have different priorities, wanting to use the same land for different purposes, like we saw with all the letters to the city planner at the beginning. To build a sustainable future, we need a smart way to plan land use. As human populations grow, we need to make sure that we don't use up land so quickly that future generations won't have the land needed for resources like food, water, and building materials. In other words, carefully planning how we use land today can prevent a tragedy of the commons tomorrow. So, how do we plan carefully? By focusing on sustainable land use. Conservation and preservation are two different approaches to sustainable land use planning. So, what exactly are these approaches? Let's consider this large wetland area as an example. We have two plan options for how this land could be used. Plan A advocates for some of the land to be turned into a sustainable rice farm, with a focus on using natural fertilizers to prevent water pollution, protect fish populations, and make sure that rice can continue to grow for years to come. The other option, Plan B, proposes that this land become a protected wildlife reserve, preventing any human development in the area so that the water stays clean and fish populations aren't harmed. Take a look at both Plan A and Plan B. What similarities do you notice between the plans, and what differences do you notice? Pause the video here to record your thoughts. For similarities, maybe you notice that both plans try to prevent water pollution, or that both plans focus on protecting fish populations. You also may have noticed that both plans aim to protect natural resources. And the differences? I noticed that Plan A allows for humans to use the land for agriculture, but Plan B totally prevents human development or land use in that area. Maybe you noticed other similarities or differences too, and that's okay. Plan A is an example of conservation, and Plan B is an example of preservation. Based on these examples, can you come up with your own definitions for these terms? Pause the video here to try it out. Conservation is the responsible and sustainable use of natural resources, using the land we have, but doing it carefully to protect the environment and future resources. In other words, if you set aside land as conservation land, you would encourage humans to interact with that land by extracting resources or building in a sustainable way. This helps ensure resources have continued availability for future generations. On the other hand, preservation is the protection of natural resources, often preventing humans from using them at all. If you set aside land as preservation land, you would totally protect that land from any activity, minimizing potential harm to preserve biodiversity. Both conservation and preservation are key to sustainability, using our natural resources and protecting them for future generations. In fact, land use plans often have different land areas preserved totally, while others are dedicated to conservation. So how exactly do we do this? Let's look at one real-life example where people put these principles to work. Welcome to Portland, Oregon. In the 1970s, leaders there had a challenge. The city was growing fast. They needed to build more homes, schools, and businesses, but they were worried about urban sprawl when cities grow and spread into surrounding areas. They didn't want to lose all the farmland, forests, and natural areas nearby. So they created something called the urban growth boundary, and this method is still used today. Here's how it works. A group called the Metro Council looks at data and estimates how much the population will grow in the Portland region over the next 20 years. City planners, farmers, and environmental scientists collaborate to set aside some of the land around the city to accommodate this bigger population. A line called the urban growth boundary is drawn. Inside the boundary, sustainable urban development is allowed. The city can add buildings, roads, sewers, whatever the growing population needs. Outside the boundary, land is protected for other uses. Some areas are preserved for wildlife habitats or recreation areas. Other areas are conserved for sustainable farming. Setting aside land that can't be developed for urbanization protects valuable natural resources like trees, soil, and existing farmland from urban sprawl. Every 6 years, the Metro Council meets to review the plan. Is the population growing as they expected? Are they using the land inside the urban growth boundary efficiently? Do any changes need to be made to the map? The Council shares updates with important stakeholders and the public, ensuring that the plan is effective for everyone. Then, every 20 years, the Council starts from the beginning and redraws the urban growth boundary for the next cycle of urban development. Think about what you know about sustainability. How does this plan support sustainable urban growth for the city of Portland? Pause the video here to record your thoughts. Through careful planning, the city of Portland has been able to expand slowly, accommodating a growing population and maintaining enough natural resources for today and tomorrow. Land use decisions aren't easy, but they're powerful. When different stakeholders collaborate, these complex decisions aren't impossible. In fact, they can be opportunities for creative problem solving. As we went through the lesson today, we explored how humans can still use limited land space in sustainable ways. In your lesson activities, you'll have the chance to learn more about the Portland Urban Growth Boundary. Then you'll write a CER statement, making a claim about whether this plan is a sustainable land use strategy. The more we learn about preservation, conservation, and sustainability, the better we can plan for a future where people and nature thrive together. Keep collaborating and looking for creative solutions. I'll see you next time.
Hey, hey.